G'day humans, Chris Stead here. Today we're heading to Sapa, Vietnam, and I'm going to be taking you to the Tien Sa Waterfall commune, better known as Cat Cat Village. Now, this is one of the things to do when you're in Vietnam, when you're in Sapa, and I did it with the kids. In this video I'm going to take on a bit of tour so you know what to expect, to find out whether or not it's what you want to do, if it's right for you, and also give you some tips and tricks and a bit of a guide just to make sure that you make the most of the experience. Let's go. Now you'll find Cat Cat Village right at the entrance to the Muang Ha Valley, which is the kind of the famous valley. It walks all the way. You can walk all the way down to the Lao Chai village and go through a whole bunch of farm stays. It's a great walk. I've done a guide specific on that walk. That's definitely something you will also want to do while you're in Sapa, and that's pretty much a full day activity. On another day, I highly recommend Mount Fansipan, which looks down on Cat Cat Village. I've done a separate video on that as well. And then on a third day, you might want to look at Cat Cat. Now, to be fair, Cat Cat isn't what it used to be. I first saw Cat Cat Village in 2009, and it was very, very, I guess, authentic, and was full of bamboo pipes and these big bamboo like water wheels and stone terraces and little bamboo bridges and this incredible waterfall that you walk down to. And all of that stuff is kind of still there, but as I'll go into, it's become a little bit buried by some over touristisation, if that's a word. Look, the village itself dates back to about the 19th century. It was it became Cat Cat Village during the French colonial period, because the waterfall's name was Catscat, I believe, or something similar. And so the French colonial period, they named it Cat Cat. It was like a place where a lot of the French officials used to go on vacation and hang out. It's extremely beautiful, as you'll see. And the reason why it became so famous is because of its beautiful rice terraces, all those kind of things I mentioned before, with the water wheels and the bridges and the stone paths and the gardens. And when the weather plays ball, like the mountain range there, Mount Fansipan is the tallest mountain in Indochina, looking right down on it. Like, it's really spectacular, super photogenic. And it's also home to the Hmong people, and they're weaving and dyeing and carving and all their kind of handicraft that they do in the village itself, and it's still there. There's also rice wine and apple wine and corn wine, I think they make there as well. A lot of meats, so you can still see all that as you walk through. But it's it's just become quite focused on the tourist aspect of selling that product to you. But I don't want to turn you off. It's still really, really quite cool and definitely worth doing. Now, some tips on how to get there, because we walked down from the Sapa village. We were staying, and I've done a review of it. It's the Sapa King, I think it was called, hotel. It was a real shocking hotel, but if you want to see the review, I'll put a review live of it. And we decided to walk down from there because actually that's what I did, when I was first there in 2009. And the reality is that walk now it's pretty sketchy. There's no pedestrian pathway. You're kind of walking on the street with cars and bikes and everything. It winds down. There's very little signage telling you where to go. We actually got completely blocked at one point by roadworks that weren't identified. We didn't know they were there, and we had to walk under moving cranes and diggers and so forth. And the whole walk down was quite unpleasant. It would have been nicer potentially if the weather was better and we're looking out over the valley, but realistically, we should have just probably caught a lift, got a lift through either on the back of a bike or in a, I think it's Grab they use over there. Just trying to remember, and just gone down to the entrance. And that would have been potentially a better way to do it, because by the time we got down there, we were pretty rattled from the walk down and had already walked for, well over an hour before we started the actual experience. So that's one of my first tips. That was a bit of an adventure. They had it. We were trying to walk down to Cat Cat Village from the central Sapa, and that's the road. This is the one that Google sends you on. It's the road that all the signs send you on. You dug the whole thing up, they got diggers in it. And you get there and some guy just points for you to go back. And we're like, well, we're not doing that. In the end, we just kind of walked underneath the digger arms and got our way through. It's just, there's tourist after tourist after tourist walking down from the centre, and there's no signs, there's no nothing. And then you get down there and it's just, the road's completely blocked. And I can't see another way to get down. This cat walk is not how I remember it. It's just like chaos trying to get down the hill. And it's cool, but... Now, second tip is there is an entry fee. There didn't used to be. I swear the first time I went there was definitely no entry fee, but you know, as of 2026, it is an entry fee. And it's not awfully expensive. I think it's 150,000 dong per adult. Kids are 70,000, but kids are identified as being anyone under 1.3 meters tall. Now, even my 7-year-old was over 1.3 meters tall, so he was counted as an adult. So we had to pay for 5 adults for the 5 of us. Anyone under a meter is free. So you kind of had to, you kind of pay that. There's no one really checking. You could probably go around it if you wanted to, but I don't know. It's not really in the spirit of, you know, doing the right thing. But I think it cost us close to $50 Australian for us all to kind of just enter the pathway. Now, as I was kind of saying at the start, it's become quite a bit over-touristed, I think, in that first probably 2/3 of the walk down through Cat Village, by which I mean what used to be kind of looking through all the houses and the village and admiring kind of all that authentic craftsmanship. That's kind of like not possible now because it's just wall-to-wall shops almost for huge sections of the way down. We've almost finished the walk through Cat Village and we've literally not got out of the shops. Shops from the top to the bottom. Can't see anything except shops. Now, obviously if you're into that, if you really want to get kind of that arts and crafts and try some of the kind of, you know, village food side of things, then bonza, you know, like, you know, you're good to go. If you're there because you're trying to have a bit of more of a cultural experience and kind of understand authentic Hmong people's life up in the Vietnamese mountains, which is kind of where we were coming from, it was a bit of a punish, kind of getting through shop after shop after shop after shop and not being able to really see what's going on around it. Now, there's a few moments where it kind of opens up and you'll see some really nice and interesting piece of architecture, or be able to walk into a garden or suddenly see the view and go, oh, wow, look at that view. So that's definitely still happens. But it's yeah, I was, mainly because I'd already been there previously, I was a bit overwhelmed at first by like how full the shops are. So just be prepared for that. But after about 2/3 of the way down, you kind of get towards the steeper part of the valley and it kind of drops down, and that's where it opens up a bit more into something that's a little bit, feels a little bit more, I don't know, less touristy. And you can kind of walk out into the farmlands and follow some paths around and see the wooden wheels and find some little gardens and walk around the back of farms and see farm animals and people going about their daily lives. And you kind of get a bit more of an understanding of what it is that made Cat Village special in the first place. And then you drop even lower than that down to the valley floor and it gets absolutely spectacular. So once you get down to, you know, at this point the shops kind of fade away, you're more into a jungle environment. There's this beautiful waterfall, there's a lovely bridge, there's a couple of restaurants down there so you can still kind of like get some food and look out over the water. There's a bunch of places that are set up for photos, whether you're an Instagrammer or whether or not you just kind of want some really cool, just artistic shots. It's very photogenic, it looks really beautiful, and it's here where you're like, oh, this was totally worth it. So even if at the top, you know, the shops really aren't for you, don't worry, because you do get past it, and once you get down the bottom, you know, it's a lot nicer. From a environmental and cultural perspective. They've even got like some original houses that they're not, I don't think they're original in that they're literally original. I think they've just been built to feel original, but you can walk through them, like big mud houses. You can walk through them up and down the stairs, like up 3 stories, and look out the windows and take photos. You've got corn hanging from the windows and props and clothes and stuff hang up inside, and and you can kind of just immerse yourself in that. You can walk up all these little pathways into the jungle and walk around different kind of little buildings and seats and get different aspects on the valley, and it's all, you know, that side of it's really, really awesome. The river itself, I mean, I don't know if it can flood. I'm sure it can, but when we were there was not much water trickling through. So you can kind of walk across get across the water and walk amongst the rocks. They had horses and down there and birds, because people were going down there to get Instagram style shots, and you know, there was all that kind of set up down there. There was a whole bunch of school kids when we were there, and they were doing a dance. They called it a traditional dance, but it was to pop music. So I don't know how traditional it was, but it was still awesome to kind of see the kids doing a dance, and there was quite a lot of them actually. So, you know, once you kind of get down there, we actually ended up probably walking through the shops in, you know, as quick as possible, and then spending like double to triple the amount of time down the bottom. So we're probably there in total for about 3 hours, I would say. And we had lunch down the bottom. It wasn't that expensive. It was yummy. And after we'd done all of that, you can kind of just walk to, you know, out of the valley, not far. I feel like it was 5 minutes or so, past another waterfall and up to where the kind of road that comes down from Sapa way above terminates. And here we were able to just like flag a ride and get a ride, jump back in and get a lift all the way back up to Sapa town for, you know, not much money at all. We did do, I will say though, as we were walking out of there, I did almost step on a snake, which I was later told by a local was a tiger snake. And quite venomous. So I don't think it'll kill you, but it'll make you really sick. So just take that into note, because I was just wearing my thongs / flip-flops, depending on where you're coming from. And maybe I should have been wearing hiking boots, because yeah, that wasn't, I also saw a snake when we were walking down the Muonghua Valley as well. So there's definitely a lot about. So anyway, there you go. That's a guide and some tips and tricks for Cat Cat Village. Just out of Sapa in northern Vietnam. Look, you know, if you don't have time to do Cat Cat, but you can do the trek that goes down to Lach Hai Village and kind of winds down from Sapa. Like I said, go see that guide video that I've done. I think that's a priority over Cat Cat. I think Mount Fansipan, if you got one big thing you want to spend on, that's absolutely unbelievable. Go see my guide on that. But Cat Cat's totally in the wheelhouse of things that you'll want to do in the area. And if you're assuming you know what you're getting into based on what I've just described, I think you'll really enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Anyway, I'm Chris Dead. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to check out my other videos. Until next time, I'm getting back on the road. You!